Almost every high school features theatrical plays, but at Oak Park River Forest High School, the annual production is a little different. Their Starfish Project is documentary theater created around a theme from interviews the students record with their friends, families, and strangers. To hear more, let's welcome Violet DeStefano and Peyton Schaefer. They're both seniors at Oak Park River Forest High School. I'm so excited to hear more about this. Tell us what the Starfish Project is.
The Starfish Project is a documentary theater. And so the group of us this year take interviews throughout the community, and we form them into monologues after transcribing them and then put on the production. It started about 4 years ago with a teacher named Avi Lessing at Oak Park, and he had it originally as a 2-year program. And in the 3rd year, which was this year, we had 2 student directors take it on and kind of carry the torch through. So it was a lot of fun.
That's a big project. You're not just performing a play, you're writing the play to perform.
Definitely.
Do you know how the Starfish Project got its name?
Yeah, it was in the 1st year. It was originally going to be called OPRF Documentary Theater Project.
Yeah.
And one of the monologues was about a man who said,
he talked about how a little girl found a starfish and how she kept finding these starfish and wanted to save all the starfish. And a gentleman was like, well, you can't save them all. And she's like, well, I can save these ones. And so John Williams was the interview that we got. He worked for the Oak Park Township. And eventually we just took the name to be the Starfish Project. And so every year we include that monologue.
As a part of the show.
Yeah.
That's terrific. How did each of you get involved?
my sophomore year, when they were trying to get people to come to the show, some of the cast members went around to different classes in the school and would go and perform for a class. And so one of the performers from that year's theme was Home, came in and did her monologue, and I thought it was so awesome, and I wish I had been a part of it. So next year, I was glad that it ended up starting so late in the year because I was able to go through the whole process when it started in March. So that was really exciting for me.
Well, good for you for trying something new.
Yeah.
And how about you, Violet?
I had a really dear friend who was an exchange student, and she was trying out for everything she possibly could. And she saw a poster for the second year of Starfish, which was the previous year, and she's like, "What's Starfish? Can I be a part of it?" And I'm like, "Well, let's pay attention to the announcements at school and see what we can do." And so she's like, "Come on, let's go." And so her and I ended up going through the process together, and it was a lot of fun.
And it sounds like you're co-directing now, is that correct?
Yes, Peyton and I are going to co-direct this coming year. We're very excited.
Good for you. So tell us a little bit about what that process is like. You go and interview people just within the school, or who are these folks?
It's people who are from the school or from the Oak Park and River Forest community. We try to keep it pretty open, but at the same time, it's more of a what's going on in the community, and at the end of each show we do a discussion. So it's really just getting people talking about different things that are happening in the community. So you go and interview a community member, and then you have to listen to it over and over again until you can type out the words that they were said, and then you cut it down to about 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then we memorize and perform them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for your monologues, Violet, do you know the person that wrote your story or told you your story?
Yes. In the beginning, when we started talking about who we should interview, one of our directors last year, Daniel Myers, told us, think of someone who has a story. And so I took that to heart, and I knew my best friend, she had a story. And I knew that if I could do it perfectly, this would be one of the greatest gifts I could give someone. And so I interviewed her, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I went to Italy about 3 weeks ago. I came back, my mom was like, "You have to come to Easter." I told her I didn't want to go. She made me come. I was like, "This is a bad idea. I shouldn't be here." It was 2 hours before we left, and my dad came to wake me up. He had been drinking, and he's one of those annoying drunks where he'll mess with you, and it can be funny, but if you're jet lagged and you don't want to be awake, I had a lot of feelings going on in my body anyway. So I told him, you're an annoying drunk. And he goes, I know it's funny. I told him, I'm not driving you home, like, Sin's gonna have to do it. So I went downstairs and turned to my mom and I said, I'm not driving back with him. He's being annoying. And for him, something just snapped. He got mad at me. And what really sucked was that my mom got mad at me as well. He left and everyone's like, he's drunk, he's gonna get in a car accident and he's gonna die. And my little brother's just this jerk who always takes his side and goes, if he dies, it's your fault. So I thought if he dies, it's my fault. We got back to my house and I was sitting on my bed and I was like, he's gonna come home, it's gonna be whatever. He comes into my room, throws the door open and says, you think I'm the jerk? You're the jerk. Screw you, Mo. And I was like, this is what it feels like to have someone hate you. Our relationship has never been great, but ever since senior year started, it's like we take one step forward and then 2 steps back. But it's always worth it to take the 1 step forward no matter what, because he and I always took the 1 step forward.
Mine was one of the school teachers. She's a gym teacher who does a freshman year self-defense class about physical and emotional transition into high school and being able to defend yourself. And so I just knew she's a really great, empowering woman. I grew up in a very religious home, and being a gay woman, it was something I knew I wasn't supposed to be. I was gonna go to hell. It was made clear to me that that was not the direction to go. It really affected not only my relationship with my parents, but myself, and loving or hating yourself. I think that's another reason why I get so empowered about self-defense and wanting girls to know that you need to love you. And that can be a hard message sometimes when your parents want other things for you. You know what I mean? I really struggled through my 20s and was very distanced from my family. I didn't come out until I was 30, and my parents told me that they loved me, but that they wanted to remind me that God was gonna send me to hell. I then said, I believe that God loves me and loves who I am, and we're gonna have to agree to disagree, and through a lot of tumultuous times, they kind of finally agreed to disagree. Then when I got married to a woman and had children, I really put the boundaries up and said, you either need to treat me or us, my family, like you love us, or this is gonna be a severed relationship. That really got their attention, and to their credit, they have come a long way. This past Christmas, my dad said to me, this is the best Christmas I've ever had. And the reason he said that is because my oldest daughter and him were inseparable. And so it's full circle. I'm really proud of them, and I'm proud of me. I'm proud of my diligence and love I showed them through the pain. I'm also proud that I put those boundaries up and said, nope, this is what I want. This is how you will treat me.
So the theme this year was faith, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you speak to how that impacted the stories? How did you see faith in the stories?
In the very beginning, we all really struggled with trying to figure out our definition of faith, especially like all of us were taking it so to heart about like this is religion based. And so once we were getting a lot of interviews about religion, so we had a rabbi, we had the teacher that Peyton just portrayed, we ended up making a religion piece, but we pulled back from that and it was more like faith in relationships. And so we tried to make it as broad as possible because there were so many people that had different stories that did eventually revolve around faith. I mean, we did a piece together called 12, and it was about due process and kind of like faith in our justice system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So faith taken way beyond the context of religion.
Exactly.
Now, the Starfish Project has been described as an act of love and empathy. What does that mean for you as performers and now co-directors?
Oh, yeah.
For me, I think it's such a personal experience to really try to accurately portray these people, and when they're telling such personal stories, I mean, that's the essence of who they are, and it's an act of love to try to show them for who they are and portray them accurately to the community, and it's a big responsibility, but I think it was so rewarding just to get to feel that close to community members, and not just the person that who we interviewed, but also just afterwards to feel that whole sense of community from the audience and get to see how they were touched by it and how they responded to the pieces. It was a really wonderful experience.
Yeah, I had one night that we were performing. It was Saturday night, and I did 2 monologues, one by a very prominent community member, especially in my life as well, and then my best friend. And they were both in the audience, and they both knew each other. And so we're sitting in the panel as a discussion, and so audience members are allowed to talk to you. And Daniel ended up asking the question, like, if you're in the audience and you're portrayed tonight, can you like stand up if you feel comfortable? And I had both of them like acknowledge themselves, and afterwards, the gentleman that I did portray, he came up to me and he said, "Thank you." Like, his story is such a huge part of who he is, and he loves being himself, and he likes to lead by example. And so it was just incredible to see how much love that I was receiving for actually performing.
And giving voice to somebody's story.
Exactly.
That's really important. Do you know what's in store for this year's Starfish Project?
As of now, we're thinking of having the theme of cargo, and so it was based on a poem that John Williams brought to us about how everyone has something that they're carrying, and it's their job to figure out what that is and deliver it to the world. And so it will have that meaning, and also it obviously carries the meaning of baggage too. So we're trying to find out the good and the bad and just what's going on in people's lives in our community.
It sounds like you both are carrying a gift, and that's giving voice to people's stories that need to be told. So thank you, Violet, and thank you, Peyton, for being here with us today. I'm Polly Toner for Different Drummers and the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.